What is up everybody, how's it going? This is Zad, and in the previous video of the HTML crash course we talked about lists and tables in HTML, and in today's video we are going to talk about a very important and interesting chapter in HTML, that is forms. Alright, so the first thing that you need to do to create a form in HTML is just type form and hit tab. Alright, now by default in your form tag you are going to have an attribute called as action. Okay, now whenever a user submits a form, it's going to go in the database. All right, so there should be a file in the database to store the details of your users. All right, so usually you backend developers, this form is going to be sent to a backend developer. All right, so let me just type a fake file called as backend.php. all right, and you have another attribute called as method, and inside you are going to have two values called as get and post. All right, now these two methods are used to retrieve data from a user and send it to the database. All right, so the get method, both of these do the same thing, but the get method appends the user's information in the HTTP URL. Right, but the post method does not do that. All right, so the post method is safer than the get method. All right, so let me just select the post method and move on. Okay, so we are going to create a basic form to collect information about users, like the name, age, gender, and email, and other things. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is create a label. So my label is going to be for the first name. Okay, and inside this space I'm just going to write first name. All right, that's good. And then you are going to create an input tag for your label. Okay, so all you need to do is just type input, and by default you are going to get an attribute called type, which tells us that this input is of the type of text. All right, now you can also add another attribute here called as an ID for your CSS and JavaScript, but if you are doing that. All right, now if I save this and refresh my website, there you are. This is your label. The first name is your label, and this is your input. Okay, yeah. Now similarly you can do it for the last name. Okay, now if I just copy this and paste it in here and save this and refresh, you are going to get another one, but let me just change this one to last name. Okay, now if I save this and refresh, there you are. This is your label, this is your input. Okay, now I know that this looks a bit ugly because this is only HTML, but there's a trick to move this in the next line by adding a break after this input. Okay, so all you need to do is just create a break tag by just typing br, and then if you save this and refresh, you are going to get this in the next line. And similarly you can add another break if you want. Okay, so yeah, that is it. Another now let's take age of the user. Okay, so let's just create another label tag for age, and I'll just type age in here. Okay, next one is the input tag of for number. Okay, number. All right, now if I save this and refresh my website, there you go. This is the age, and you cannot type text in here because I'm trying to type text in here but it does not print there because this this input is of the type number, and you can only type numbers here, okay, like this. So let's just bring this again in the next line. Okay, now if I save, refresh, there you are. Okay, now you also have an input for email address and password. Okay, so let me just create another label for email, and in the label I'm just going to type email address, right? And for the input is going to be of the type email. Okay, now if I save this, okay, first let me just create a break before that. Now if I save and refresh my website, there you are. You now get the email address input as well. So now you can just go and type the email address you want. Okay, like abc@gmail.com, something like that. Okay, alright, the next one is the password input. Okay, so first let's just create the label. The label is for password, and password here, and the input. Alright, the input type is going to be password. Now if I save this and go refresh, there you are, I have my password. Alright, now if I try to enter something, it's not gonna show up, but it's gonna show up some stars. Okay, like this, like it shows in your Google account passwords. Alright, this is cool. Let me just add a break tag in here for the email input after the email input. Okay, and refresh my page. Good. Another one is the select and option tags. Okay, so if you want to take gender of your user, you can do that by using select and option. Alright, so all you need to do first is just type label, and the label is for gender, and inside these tags I'm just going to type gender like this. Okay, and then you just need to create select tags and just fill in these attributes. Okay, so the name attribute is actually for the backend developers to access the data and send it to the database. Alright, so you can just type gender here, and let's just leave the ID because we are not dealing with CSS and JavaScript. Alright, yeah, and then in your select tags you are going to create multiple options one by one. So just type option, and for the value you are going to type the value of the option. So for the first one it is male, so I'll just type male, and in the tag I'm going to write male like this. Alright, similarly you can do it for female as well. So let me just copy this and paste it in here. Okay, and type female. Okay, now if I save this and refresh, boom, there you are. Alright, so this is your label, this is the select this is your label, and these are your options. Alright, cool. Now you can also take the date of birth of your users. Okay, so all you need to do first is just type the label as usual, and for the for attribute I'm just going to type DOB in small letters, indicates date of birth. Right, and for the label I'm going to type DOB in capital letters. Right, so for the input type it is going to be date. Now if I save this and refresh, there you are, you get your date of birth input tag. Okay, so if you see this, you have a calendar symbol right here. Okay, so this is a built-in calendar that you can choose directly and fill in this. Okay, or else you can just do this, something like this. Okay, cool. Now let me just create a break tag after the gender. Okay, BR like this. Now if I save this, there you are. Okay, cool. Yeah, another one is the buttons, the type of buttons. Okay, so you have submit and reset. Okay, So just type the button tag like this, buttn. Okay, and then you can select the type of button you want. Okay, so you have disabled, reset, and submit. Okay, so first I'm just going to select reset, and if I save this and refresh, oops, okay, I did not type anything inside my button. And if I refresh this, there you are, you get your reset button. Okay, so it's useful if a user enters something wrong and wants to reset the form again, so you can do that by using the reset button. Okay, another button is the submit button. Okay, so let me just type the button tag first and go for submit button. Okay, submit form. Okay, now if I save this and refresh, there you are, you get your reset button and submit form button. Okay, so if I type the name, age, and some email address, and if I hit on submit, it's gonna give me this error: your file could not be accessed because there is no such file called as backend.php on my computer. Alright, yeah, and there are a ton of other things that I wanted to talk to you about. Is that if a user just submits his form directly without filling some details, you can stop that by adding the required thing in your input. Okay, so in here I'll just type required and save this. Okay, so now if I try to submit my form, there you go, it says please fill in this field. Okay, because this input is required, and similarly you can do that for different inputs as well. Alright, and even for the select options, you can, if you don't want the male to be default, you can change it to female as well by typing selected in the female option. Alright, now if I refresh, there you are, you get female. Alright, that's cool. And there's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, was a placeholder. Okay, now sometimes when you visit forms, you kind of get a grayish text inside the input tag itself. Okay, so you have placeholders for that. Okay, now if I type placeholder here and type in the text like enter your first name, and if I save this and refresh, there you are, the placeholder in grayish text says enter your first name. And similarly you can do for the different inputs as well. Okay, now if I submit, it says please fill this field, and reset is just going to reset the whole form. Okay, so yeah, that was it about forms. All these are some of the basic inputs in forms, but if you want to know more, you can do that by just going to W3 Schools and learn more about it. Okay, so they have a whole section for forms. Okay, so you can just go through this and know more about forms. Okay, so you have more things like radio buttons and checkboxes and different stuff. All right, so yeah, that is it for today's video, and I'll see you in the next video.